Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel, and I want to talk just a little bit about your goals for the new year in 2021. What do you want to accomplish? How can you fit what it is you're trying to do into this whole crowdfunding arena? Is crowdfunding even right for you? And also, what is the opportunity that I'm seeing right now in the marketplace? I'm sharing all of that with you on today's YouTube video. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I am a personal development junkie. I love setting goals. Ever since I was very young, since I was maybe 12 or 13 years old, I've always been setting New Year's resolutions. I write in a journal very extensively. I have a lot of journals I've written in over the years. So I'm always trying to better myself and always trying to think about ways in which I can improve. And I'm really a fan of only setting a couple resolutions. So maybe like 1, 2, or 3. Once it gets beyond that, I'm just not gonna keep it in my mind, right? But I try to create a theme for every single year, right? So my theme last year was team building and leadership. And this year, I'm not gonna talk about myself too much on this video. I kind of wanna focus a little bit more on you. But when it comes to crowdfunding, you should think about what is your goal going to be for your specific project? What are you trying to accomplish? Is it even just necessarily getting validation for your idea for the very first time in your life? If you've never made a product before in your life, maybe it could even just be getting a product idea in your head to the prototype stage. And I have some good videos out there on how to do that. Maybe if you've never made a product before, it's getting from the prototype stage to actually having a workable, functioning prototype that you can show people and that eventually you can take product photos of, do video, and maybe run a Kickstarter campaign. If you're already further down the line, it could be, I want to sell, I want to run a Kickstarter campaign, or I want to do an Indiegogo, or I want to learn about this equity crowdfunding thing you've been talking about recently. Any of these things, it's really important to have a goal for 2021 because it keeps you honest. It keeps you, I think, transparent. You really start to push forward and be like, okay, so how do I do that? You start to work backwards or reverse engineer the steps that are required in order for you to have success. Success is not always necessarily an outcome, but by examining your goals a little bit, is it realistic? Is it not realistic? Is this a good fit for crowdfunding? Is it not a good fit for crowdfunding? Is this something you can pull off this year? What quarter of this year? When you begin to think in these kinds of really intense, logical ways, it will help you stay much more on track with your goals in life. And companies already do this. Think about a company you've worked for in the past, or maybe your own company, or if you've never worked for a company before, you can observe this right in the public domain. So a lot of companies will set quarterly goals. They'll set annual goals. They'll have different KPIs, which are key performance indicators for their employees. As an organization, for a particular department, they might have their own set of goals, right? So it's really important to put the goals in writing, to say by quarter 1, I want to figure out this. By quarter 2, with the business year, I want to figure out this. By quarter 3, I want to get here. If I was, let's just say by August, I had a working prototype, I would be really happy. You want to think a little bit about this and the timeline. I know it's scary. It's really strange to do in your personal life because this isn't yet a business, right? So it's really something that's still personal to you. You don't know if this is going to be a hobby, it's going to turn into a full-fledged company, right? You hope it does, but you're not really thinking that way. If you can adopt that structure that these already for-profitable companies are using, which is quarterly goals and annual goals, creating budgets, right? What is the budget I'm going to allocate in order to get this project off the ground? The more you can kind of think in that a little bit of a corporate structure. I know corporations suck. Like, I hate that kind of thinking. I'm much more of like a run it and gun it kind of startup guy, right? A small business owner, but the more you can put your thinking into that framework, the easier it is going to be for you to execute on those goals and to also hold them to a certain standard. Let's first talk about the opportunities that are available for you this year. Number 1, COVID. COVID is still going on, man, and I think it's still gonna happen probably until, let's be honest, probably until August. Even if a vaccine comes around, people are going to be scared. Not everyone's going to take the vaccine. It's going to be this whole massive thing. And what happens if some of the vaccines don't work? You're going to have to get it every year, the way you get the flu shot, right? So this is going to be something that's part of our culture, probably for at least this year, I think, before we're going to start to see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. What does that mean? That means e-commerce is shooting up. Check out the Shopify stock prices, check out Amazon, Etsy, right? All of these major companies are doing super well under COVID because People are ordering stuff online. They're bored, they're inside, they want fun stuff to buy online. This is ripe for opportunity for you to come out with a new product because people are more willing to use their disposable income that way. Because obviously they're not using their disposable income to take trips around the world or to go on vacations, right? Or to even eat out with their friends because they can't do it. So they want to do something, they're gonna buy stuff online. I mean, I also, buy stuff online, obviously. So this is a really good opportunity for you because consumers are ripe for that stage. Like, they're in the mindset to do that. Number two, because there's not a lot of stuff to do, you can really focus. Sometimes in life, I believe that life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. And whether you call it a higher power, you want to call it the universe, or whatever you want to call it, sometimes just opportunities come into your life unexpectedly. It could just be serendipity, right? And this could be one of those opportunities that life is presenting to you that you now, because you can't go out and have fun with your friends and go to restaurants and that kind of stuff, you have extra time to be able to buckle down, to think a little bit, and to get a project going that you've always wanted to complete, right? This is an opportunity for you as a business owner, as an individual, as an entrepreneur, an innovative, a creative type, to begin to get something out there and to take it seriously, right? So use this window of opportunity. It could only last for the next couple of months, right? And then you might be going back to your old lifestyle. You might be then hanging out with friends again, and you don't have the time that you now have to be able to buckle down, to get serious, and to start something. So I would recommend, number one, the opportunity is COVID, but not just for selling products, but also for you as an individual. This YouTube video is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people, and they've been around since 2012. They're Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns. If you have a tech or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. Check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. The other massive opportunity that I see that very few people are taking advantage of is this whole gold rush when it comes to digital marketing, right? It's so much easier nowadays to get high quality graphics, to get great looking pitch video edited, right? To be able to put your name out there, to put the word out there. I couldn't, have thousands of fans or have lots of YouTube subscribers maybe 20 years ago, right? Because YouTube wasn't really as big of a thing. But now I can actually put a podcast, I have my books, I have this, I have that. You can also reach people online with a new product, and you can put it right in front of them. They can actually see it. They can be scrolling on their phone, they can see it, and they can buy it. How cool is that? That is so exciting. In the old days, you'd have to go through all of these major, gatekeepers, and you have to advertise in physical catalogs in order to get mail-in orders. Now you can just go directly to the crowd. You can go directly to the consumer. You can put a Facebook ad in front of them. You can put an Instagram ad in front of them. You can just have them be browsing. They follow you on Facebook, and then they start to see your updates, right? There's so many ways in which people can discover you. You're doing TikTok, that's obviously a new thing. Instagram Reels, right? There's all these social media sites, Product Hunt, Reddit, lots of social bookmarking sites, forums online, blogs, YouTube, etc. The ways in which people can discover you are unheard of. So I feel like you almost owe it to yourself to use these tools, these channels, in order to develop a platform, if you will, for launching a product or for launching new product lines in the future. You have all of the digital marketing tools at your disposal, and using my channel, looking at my other videos, taking one of my courses, reading my book, etc., you can actually develop the skill set, if you want to be able to get your products out there in front of other people. Now, you as a business owner, this might not be your natural skill set, right? So you might be more on the product side or the engineering side. Well, guess what? You can always learn it. You could always book a coaching call with me and we can talk more in depth of your project, or you can hire someone out there in order to help you. I'll work occasionally on different projects that the community brings me. Obviously, I charge a fee and these kinds of things, but this is something that is possible. There are other people as well in the industry that I can introduce you to, depending on your budget, your unique case, the type of product you have. I don't accept everyone that wants to work with me, right? So there are lots of opportunities, I think, nowadays to be able to assemble a virtual team around you so you can bring a product to light that you could never do before. Think about that. If you actually had to have your team physically in your location, the expense for that, for me to hire people in New York, right? In Brooklyn, it would be so expensive. I'd have to figure out all of the employee compensation. I have to figure out all of the healthcare. I'd have to figure out all of the taxes, right? All that kind of stuff. Now you can hire a distributed team of people all around the world who are maybe, I'm working with someone who's in the UK, I'm working with someone who's in Australia, and it's not that big of an issue, right? So it's no longer something weird just to have virtual teammates or to have virtual coaching call or to do these things. It was like, is that a scam, right? But now it's just normal life. And I think COVID obviously accelerated a lot of that. So that's another big opportunity that I see for you. Let me ask you a question. Has there ever been the case in old school marketing where you could say to someone, you know what, if you give me $100, I'll take that money, I'll put it into this big fund, and if this thing gets fundraised, if we hit our fundraising goal, I'm gonna go actually out there, I'm gonna do the initial production run of this product, and we're gonna use all those funds to be able to do that. I can't think of any idea. I've done a lot of research, and maybe it's just my own research. You could leave a comment down below if you think if you have a different example. But in the old days, that was just not the case. Like, they were more interested in traditional, what you might consider e-commerce now, right? Where you have the product and someone's willing to pay for it, right? With Kickstarter, it's different. This is like a window of opportunity where people are actually willing to pledge money to pre-order a product so that if you hit this fundraising goal, let's just say you raise 100K, you can take that money and you can go and get this product made. You can use the profit to be able to pay for your tooling costs, right? That is so cool. That exists. Like, this actual buying mechanism is something that is cool. And like, not only that, these backers are willing to wait 1, 2, 3, some cases 6 to 8 months to receive this product. It's not like they're just buying it with e-commerce. They're actually willing to wait and being willing to recognize that this isn't just a full-fledged company, that there might be some mistakes, that the product might have to go through some iterations, that they might give feedback right on the end product. So it's really exciting. This is something that has only existed for a little bit since 2012. I've been in the industry, so that's about 8 years ago. It's definitely transformed a lot since then, but this is here to stay. This is going to continue to be the case. And the more that we develop other ways of selling products, for example, augmented reality, virtual reality, using even other advertising platforms besides just Facebook, right? The more that we begin to develop this as an industry, and the more that people like myself are able to bring teachings to you, you can take advantage of it even more so. So I think this is a really good opportunity, because this is something that still the mainstream has not yet really adopted very much. And there are all these other opportunities, such as equity crowdfunding. I've been doing a bunch of videos on that, like WeFunder, Start Engine, Seed Invest, right? Republic.co, where you can now not only get pre-orders, but if you want to do an equity campaign, you can raise a boatload of capital from micro investors, retail investors who are putting in maybe $500 or $1,000 into your startup. They'll own a very small percentage of the company, and they are your evangelists, they're investors. They maybe are put together into one special purpose vehicle, right? Like an LLC, or one special person, they have a lead investor who maybe does more of the voting or whatever. You could talk about the specifics in another video, but this is another thing that's come to light. And because of the new rules with the SEC, that limit has been raised upwards of 5 million using regulation crowdfunding, when it was previously $1,070,000, right? So this to me is another opportunity in 2021, is you can run an equity crowdfunding campaign. I have a great book out there called Equity Crowdfunding Explained, and you can learn more about this if you are interested. But think about this, like, there's a new way to get startups funded, and that's using equity crowdfunding. And you as a business owner, you as an entrepreneur, the only things that are holding you back are the tools you're using, are the things that you're coming up with in new products, and also where you're getting your funding, right? So if you have a different entrepreneur, let's say we have 2 entrepreneurs, one of them has a lot of funding and one of them doesn't, we obviously know which one's probably gonna be more successful. Not always the case, there are always counter examples, but if you're trying to start a new business, having a lot of funding does help, right? So you could go the Kickstarter route, or in 2021, you could actually look a little bit more into equity crowdfunding. And you can learn about that on my channel by buying one of my books, by booking a coaching call session. We can talk more about that. But I think this is also something that's going to continue to accelerate into the new year. Now, the last opportunity that I kind of want to talk about is something that's not super well discussed, right? Because I really don't like the word like entrepreneur. It sounds kind of like BS, let's be honest. Like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, like it's really just, bleh. But I'm just gonna use that term. Like as entrepreneurs or innovators or creative people, however you wanna phrase it, there are different ways of going out there and bringing a product to market. Among all of these ways, the common stage that every entrepreneur has to go through is validation, right? Customer validation. While we are risk takers and we're willing to push the boundaries and we're willing to try things out, at the end of the day, we're also not stupid, right? We're smart people. We want to be able to take calculated risks. We want validation in the marketplace. We don't just want to, run it and gun it and try and sell and like invest a lot of money into something that doesn't work. We want customer validation. We want to believe that customers are going to, at the end of the day, be happy with the products that we are creating for them. And one of the great things I think right now is that you can actually run a testing phase for an actual Kickstarter campaign. So a testing phase being testing out the pricing, doing that through the pre-launch, testing out the ad copy, the graphics, like all of this kind of stuff. This was not available to our forefathers. If our forefathers wanted to see if a product would sell, they would have to buy a bunch of inventory. They'd have to get a warehouse to store this stuff. They'd have to put out an ad, right, in the paper or in a magazine or something like that, or find a distributor if they can, right? And then try to sell it. So they had to take on all of the risk to begin with. Now you don't have to do that. All you got to do is have a prototype, get some great photos or video taken of it, right? And then try out a testing campaign before you go live and public and actually see whether or not people want this. And based on the results of that, maybe decide to change your pricing, maybe decide to change the audience you're going after. If you're doing a proper Facebook testing campaign, you might even decide to change the big promise that you're making or the benefits, which ones you emphasize, right? So you can de-risk this entire process. And to me, this is like the holy grail, because the more certain you are about your decisions, the more certain you are about the vision you have for the future, the more boldly you can move into that future, the more boldly you can navigate, right, some of these obstacles. And even if you get a bunch of obstacles thrown at you, if you have a sound foundation, you know people want this product, they want to buy it, they're already signing up in droves, they're giving you tons of positive comments, you know you have the foundation built strong. So whatever obstacles come your way, you can navigate, you can dip, you can dodge, you can weave, and eventually you're gonna get where you want to go. And that all comes from that validation phase and being rock solid with your initial assumptions. If you don't have those right assumptions, in the back of your mind, you're always going to question, well, I don't know, do people want this thing? Do they need it? Is it something that they're actually excited about? Did I just kind of blow this up in my head to be this big thing that actually people don't want? You're always going to be uncertain. And when someone is uncertain, they're not willing to do bold things. They're not willing to do whatever it takes, right? Or invest money into getting the word out there about their product. So to me, that's the last thing I wanted to include on this video, but I hope that you enjoyed it and at least made you think a little bit about some of your goals for 2021 and maybe some of the stuff that you can accomplish this year. My name is Salvador Briggman. If this is your first time watching the channel, give me a subscribe. Check me out on Instagram under my name, Salvador Briggman, with CrowdCrux, which is my blog. I also got a podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified, a lot of great stuff out there. So I hope that you take the time to learn a little bit about this process and get in touch with me if you are interested in learning more, aside from these YouTube videos and that kind of stuff, but going really in depth with like your specific case, your project, what you want to accomplish, and how you can get there. What is the roadmap, if you will, to having a successful outcome? Hope you enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up. I'll see you next time.